This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. We're going to talk about bass fishing. It is a special edition show today. If you're a BTL regular, you'll find that we did not have Wi-Fi. Like, there was no Wi-Fi available. We had a fantastic house last week for the Bassmaster Open, the final Bassmaster Open of the 2025 season, which took place on Leech Lake in Walker, Minnesota. We'll talk about that more later. We've got a regularly scheduled BTL today at 8:30 a.m. Central Time, but I wanted to have a special edition show, kind of an MLF Angler of the Year show with the one and only Jacob Wheeler. So Jacob will be joining us momentarily after he drops the kiddos off at school and before his dentist appointment. So, you know, you win 4 Angler of the Years in 5 years. You still got to go to the dock. You still got to drop the kids off at school. You just have a few more dollars in the bank doing it. He did $500,000 this year in winning, so we'll have him on. But anyway, I was planning on doing shows from Walker, Minnesota, had everything dialed in, but the house that we stayed at last year had already been rented. So that guy did us a solid by hooking us up with his neighbor who had a fantastic house. Miles Berghoff, Blake Schroeder, Matt Steffen, and myself. We walk into this house, and the first thing you notice when you go downstairs is Golden Tee, the original Golden Tee, Peter Jacobson. You know, that one's going for the water, Bob. It had a foosball table, which we didn't really play, and it had an air hockey table. And then you literally overlooked this marsh that was part of the lake. So the only thing was, because he does not VRBO that house, Wi-Fi was not really an option. So let's get to it. We have like a 30-minute window. I promise I wouldn't keep him on long, but one of the things is, regardless of how big of a superstar he is, this guy from 2011, I believe, from when he won the All-American, was it 2009 or 2011? I want to say it was 2011. all the way up through 2025. He's always made time for the media, always made time for BTL. And Jacob Wheeler, fresh off of dropping the kids off at school and fresh off of your 4th Angler of the Year title in the last 5 seasons. Thanks for jumping on BTL for a little quick early morning session.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Matt. I mean, obviously, it's we've had a lot of great conversations over the years, and this year was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, man. They had a lot of ups and downs, so it was a good year, and it
had downs.
Good to get back in saddle.
It didn't have any. What downs did it have, Jacob?
Oh, I mean, the only downs was more so for my dad's passing and some other things that were a little bit difficult. Those are the scenarios.
Okay.
And Potomac was not easy on me. It was like the worst. It was like the week from hell for me. Like Potomac, I hooked my camera guy Nick in the chin to start practice at 6 a.m. Took him to the emergency room. He had 2 hooks in the chin. Blew 2 tires on my trailer. Had to replace my battery in my truck. Had a nail in my front tire of my truck. It was just the craziest week.
Sounds like someone was messing with you. That sounds like more than just an accident.
It was a very interesting week. It really was. There were certain scenarios when it rains, it pours. That was that week. It was definitely I was like, E.
I remember one time KVD had a big tournament on the Arkansas River. It might have been that major, something like that. And he woke up and had 2 flat tires and just drove to the freaking ramp with them and launched his boat on the rims. Handed it to the Nitro guys and said, "That's your problem now." But
wish I could do that.
Here's what's crazy, Jacob. You're obviously have been on a heater. I mean, really, you were pretty dominant before, but this Bass Pro Tour, after starting in 2019, and it's hard to believe. What is this? The 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is already the 7th year of the Bass Pro Tour, which is absolutely hard to believe that we're 7 years into this thing. You've never finished outside the top 5 in the Angler of the Year. You were dominant before, but regardless of whether it's 1 pound, whether it's variable weight, whether it's the 5 fish limit, whether it's you can scope the whole time, whether it's you can scope for one period, one thing has remained consistent, and that's you at the top. And shockingly, 2025, you really didn't get much of a chance. You dominated Jake Lawrence by 45 points, and it was your most dominant win in history of the Bass Pro Tour for the Angler of the Year. So just kind of walk us through, like, do you just keep getting better every single year in your opinion?
I think the biggest thing that you learn as you progress as an angler is not necessarily to get better at those like tournaments you're in the top 10 or you win. Like that just happens in the perfect time. But it's how to minimize a bad finish. How to sort of punt rather than throw a Hail Mary on a 4th down. That is probably the biggest thing. If I would have understood those things a little bit earlier in my career, I feel like I would have a lot more opportunity to have won those Angler of the Years back when I was in 2nd or 3rd or 4th.
You're consistently, it seems like your second days, like you're consistently able to get out of the gates hot. And then one of the trends that I've noticed, and we've talked about this before, is you really don't have to fish on the second day a lot of times in order to either win the round or I've seen you several times punt and say, well, I'm not going to win the round, but I'm also not going to burn my fish. You would think that as the MLF format goes into its 8th year, there's more guys who would have figured out this strategy. Are you able to just find and understand the fishery so much better than the rest of the field? I mean, that's honestly what it seems like it is, because then we're also seeing going into the final rounds, you're able to save stuff 3, 4, 5 days in advance. Like, do you have your tournaments kind of mapped out before it even starts instead of just flying by the seat of your pants?
I mean, I don't always know. I still adjust like on the fly a lot. Like I adjust on the fly a lot, and you don't truly know. The one thing that I'm really big on in practice is I get an idea of what's going down, but I don't get things dialed. And there's some anglers that really like to get dialed in practice. I have an idea of what I think will go down, but I'll adjust and throw it out the window very quickly too if I have to. And so it comes to a point where I think it also is a really important part of it is like my mind is one track minded to like the final day. Like my mind, even if I'm not on the winning fish or like any of that, my mind is still focusing on how do I make the final day and how do I set myself up the best that day. And the cool thing is like that, like not a lot of some anglers, it might be, hey, I want to make a check. Some anglers, it might be, I want to make a top 20. Like, I just feel like in my mind, it's like, this is qualifying. Like I don't have, it's all about understanding the playing field and making that decision making all of these decisions leading up into the final day and making the right decision on the final day. I feel like that to me is like how my mind works a lot of times. Not every tournament is that way. I do think there's times like when you're really in the middle of the Angler of the Year race that you're trying to maximize a tournament where it takes it a little bit more, where you're not maybe maximizing the chance to win. You're taking a little bit more like easy going. But yeah, that's always my mindset is like trying to think about that final day.
Talk about this last one. It was your second win in 3 BPT events. Technically, you could have gone. You went like second, something first, some first. Like, I mean, you could have won basically 4 out of 5 there. But talk about that last day, some incredible drone footage, some incredible shots of how it went down there. But I mean, that was just as dominating a performance as you could kind of ask for, not only in the Angler of the Year, but then with the guys that you had chasing you, perhaps also one of the greatest I'm going to say this, one of the greatest grass fishermen in professional bass fishing history, one of the most decorated anglers. He just doesn't have a classic title to his name or a Red Crest or FLW Cup, and doesn't toot his own horns. I call him the David Robinson of professional bass fishing, and Todd Faircloth. But I mean, no easy task catching largies out of the grass to beat that guy.
No, and Todd's probably, like you said, he's the best, like day in, day out, offshore grass. I mean, I remember just watching videos of Todd, obviously spending a lot of time on Rayburn, him spending a lot of time around that area in East Texas. He's just a quiet assassin. He doesn't really say a whole lot. He's just sort of to himself. He focuses his energy on just trying to catch bass and having a good time. But man, Todd is as good as they come. He's as good as they come, man.
Yeah.
He just I got a lot of respect for him for sure. He's definitely a phenomenal angler.
Let's run through your season really quick. I know you can get online and do this, but let's start out at Conroe, and I just want to see if there's any themes that kind of carried themselves through the year. So main pattern and baits at Conroe, just 20 seconds for each stop, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Conroe.
So Conroe is really like a lipless, a chatterbait, a lipless, and a minnow. So like forward facing sonar, focusing on like a minnow, like a freeloader, is what I call a lot of my fish on, and then a chatterbait and a lipless crankbait.
All right, Harris chain. That was you finished 5th at Conroe. You actually had to fish all the days there. You didn't win your round. You won the round at Harris chain. Talk about Harris chain.
That one stung the most. So I caught them all flipping a Bronco bug, 1/2 ounce, 5/8 ounce weight, wind blowing out of the south in the final day of the tournament. I was catching my vodka. Sorry. We're getting crackly audio, Jacob. Log out, log back in, and I'm going to take a quick break. Okay. Okay, sounds good.
All right. Yeah, we've like I said, we got Jacob who's sitting next to the school where we drop the kids off. So I appreciate it. So we are just going to run one break. Jacob's going to log out, then he's going to log back in. Then we'll finish the run through of the rest of the season. It's BTL. We're back from the Bassmaster Open on Lake Leak. It is August 18th. It's a special edition MLF early show. We still have one at 8:30. Actually, our guest at 8:30. It's kind of interesting. He finished 3rd place in the MLF Toyota event on the St. Lawrence River. I think it's the first time I've ever had someone be like, hey, you finished 3rd. But he also did something pretty cool there on day 2. So it's a special edition BTL day. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
All right, we are back, BTL, on a Monday special edition with Jacob Wheel. We got better audio now. Or can you hear me now?
I got you now. I think it should be better.
Okay, sorry about that. You're getting crackly at the end, so let's do. I just want to do a quick rundown. Sometimes there's themes. I remember guys like have gone through an entire year and they're like, "Oh, I caught him on a topwater in 4 out of the 6 events," or I chatterbaited it, and you're like, "Holy cow!" And it's a guy gets confidence in something and he runs it through the entire season. So Conroe, we'd established. You said minnow, and what were the other baits there?
A lipless crankbait and a chatterbait.
Okay, lipless minnow. You go to the Harris chain.
Really caught them frogging. I mean, that's not frogging. I caught a couple on a frog, but I caught a lot of my fish at the Harris chain, flipping a bronco bug. So just straight flipping.
All right. Second place finish on Lake Murray in stage 3.
Mooch minnow, janitor Nico rigging was really the 1-2 punch. I caught them almost all Nico rigging and all on a minnow. So skipping docks.
At any point, did you throw the minnow without using the forward-facing sonar? Was there any blind minnowing involved in the 2025 AOY campaign?
Yeah, we're gonna get to one. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
There was one. There's one. I'll go into it.
Okay. Stage 4, Chickamauga and Nickajack, your backyard, a second place finish there.
Caught him on a 6 1/4 freeloader. Caught him on a scrounger. Caught him on a drop shot and an eco, so sort of a combination. So janitor with a drop shot and an eco. Caught a couple on a jerkbait that tournament, but mostly, and maybe a couple on a DT 16. But it was a combination because there was 2 lakes, and it was a little bit different. I was fishing the river on Nickajack, and I was fishing obviously up there offshore on Chickamauga.
All right, 9th Bass Pro Tour win came on Kentucky Lake. You won that one by a lot. You had 263 pounds, 5 ounces in 3 days of fishing. What was the key there? Like that was a good one.
So that one was the one that I caught him blind minnowing. And so like I caught him on a 5 1/4 freeloader. And I started in the first morning, I caught a couple on a DT 16 and a lot of the fish were a little bit weird. And like I didn't start with forward that first period. The schools were good. And I basically caught 19 in the first period on a 5 1/4 freeloader without live scope and without forward facing sonar and active target. So it was just something that I'm comfortable with, and I know, like, and especially if you're casting at a group of them, that I knew they were out there, by idling it first and understanding where they were positioned. They bit it really well, especially that first morning.
Potomac River, you really sucked in this one, Jacob. A 34th place finish in stage 6. I don't even know why you showed up to the last one after that embarrassment.
It was bad. That's a long story. That's a long story of like, gosh, dang.
Yeah. But did a frog play in that one? Dude, my earbuds do the exact same thing. I'll go down to like adjust, hit my unit or something. I'll be like on the phone with Court, and then boom, and like so far I'm like 12 for 12 as far as it always bounces. It always bounces into the boat and not out of the boat. But I'm fixing to lose one any day.
I like
now.
the smaller ones. I like the smaller, like the other AirPods. This is actually Alicia's, I think, that I actually snagged them before I left the house. So
okay.
So Potomac River, I caught them on a clap tail. Actually, caught a lot of them on a clap tail on grass, and then I caught them frogging, chatterbaiting, a little bit, sort of just a hodgepodge between the frog and a chatterbait. Caught a few on a wacky worm as well, and a couple on a jig, just sort of like combination. The crazy thing there was just basically that we had a giant rain that night before the day number 2, and we had like 4 foot waves on the main river, so it blew out a lot of places and changed the dynamic of that tournament.
And then Saginaw Bay and the river here to close things out there. A number of different things, but a lot of frogging.
Frogging mostly, a little bit of flipping, wacky rigging, and then I caught him on a. One thing that was really a big part of that was the first day I caught 52 pounds, and I was in second place after period 1, smallmouthing with a salted Ned roll that'll come out this fall on a drop shot. So I caught them really good day 1 and utilizing those smallmouth, which gave me enough room to where I didn't have to burn everything down in the largemouth that I was fishing.
Frog, Nico, and minnow is kind of the 3 trends that I see throughout here. If I was to take your three main baits this year, which is interesting because you have one that I would consider super finesse, one that's semi finesse, and then or one that's kind of middle of the road, and then one that's as about a power fishing as you can get.
Yeah, I mean that's bass fishing this day and age. You better have it all, and you better be good at a lot of different things. I mean, back in the day, I feel like you used to be a little bit more of a specialist game. You could have a Denny Brower or a Kevin catch them on a rattleback jig or a 1.5, and you can roll with that throughout the season, especially if things sort of set up that way. But this day and age, you better be good at everything because it's just the way the specialist has changed a little bit where you better be more to a generalist, but you sort of have to be a specialist at every technique now to compete. Now, I mean, I'm not saying if you're locking into forward facing sonar, I guess you could say if I had two baits, I'm going to be like, or three baits, it'd be a jerk bait, a freeloader, a minnow, and then it would be, a Nico or a drop shot. So like, I mean, you could jump in on that, but still, um, even if you're allowed to utilize forward the whole time, you still are going to have moments where that's not going to be the main deal. Potomac River, I mean, I remember seeing Drew back in the back of the creek. He goes, man, he said, having a good day. I said, good job, Drew. He's always so happy go lucky. And he's like, man, I got whatever he had, like 50 pounds that day. He's like, all without, turn the box on. And I'm like, heck yeah, Drew. He was pumped up. And I'm like, it's just like some events, no matter what you have, you're going to have to just fish instinctually. And I think that sometimes is a big part of it.
Can you get better at anything, or are you at your best right now? Like, is there anything that you have a weakness on? And let's put it that way, because you can always get better. The top always say you can get better, but do you have a weakness right now?
I definitely think I do. I definitely think that I do. There's certain scenarios in my game that I could be a little bit better. I feel good about my in the tournament decision making. But there's little things like the way I cast, or maybe I need to fundamentally work on a couple little things that I just can tweak this off season that I've noticed. And it just sort of like that to me is like it could be the efficiency of just one or two little things. I think that understanding a couple other techniques is something that I would really like to understand. I'll spend a lot of time in the off season in the pool, not in the pool, but in the pool playing with baits and understanding little ways of rigging and understanding. Because like there's a lot of things when someone tells you, oh, this is the deal, but actually being able to see what a bait does and why it does what it does, uh, really makes you understand why and when things should play or will play, and having the confidence, like knowing what a bait does in a lot when you rig it in different ways allows for you to be a better angler on the water because you're not guessing of what that bait does. And it's a big difference of a bait doing that right next to your boat and then that bait doing that 60 feet out away from your boat. It's big difference. So paying attention to all that kind of detail makes it a pretty big impact for me, whether I'm using the right jig head, the right hook on a flipping bait, the right weight on a Nika, whatever it might be. There's little small details that's the big thing anymore in this day and age of bass fishing. Everybody's really good, and the distance from the first place guy to the last place guy it's never been so close in this sport. It's never been so close.
Yeah, I would venture to say that, but you're proving that you're a lot far ahead of a lot of other guys there, Jacob. Like there's definitely a gap between you. I mean, you just look at the rest of it with the Jake Lawrence, Drew Gill, you've got Banks coming in now. We saw Skeet retire. We're seeing a lot of these guys that I think still have the obviously ability to win, but Kevin's retired and things like that. Now you to me have reached your prime a little bit earlier than Kevin even did. So we could see, I mean, in all honesty, another decade plus of these dominating things. Like, what is somebody going, in your opinion? Now, this is a loaded question. What does someone have to do in order to compete with you? Like, what you see what I'm saying? Like, like there's a high school kid, there's a junior Bassmaster. Heck, it might be someone who's on the tour now because, well, let's face it, Drew, Banks, half of these guys could still be junior Bassmasters.
Exactly.
But like If you were to build an angler to compete with yourself right now, who's 12 years old, listening to this, what is the one thing that they need to start early? Because you started early. I mentioned that 2011, the youngest ever to win the All-American, one of the youngest ever to win the Forest Wood Cup. What is something they need to start right now to where when you're still in your prime 8 years from now on AOY number 15, this kid goes, I got that, dude. And you're like, okay, this kid has me.
I mean, it's so hard to put something.
Is it a
I don't know if
technique?
there's.
Is it time on the water? Is it a
It's not. It's not.
mentality? What is it?
I would say
I
it's
mean,
mental. It's a mental game more than anything. That's why you look at guys. That's why when I say what I'm saying, the difference between the guys who win and the guys who don't, it's all mental. There's two things: work ethic and the mentality is everything in between the ears. That is work ethic is a big part of it as well. How hard are you willing to work, and how important is something to you, and not and this is a difference. When I was in my younger years of my career, I would work just as hard. I would actually work harder than I do right now. But now I know what's going to possibly benefit me and what won't. So I don't work as hard in the moments where I don't feel like I need to, or I'm going to gain some value out of that. So there's also scenarios of like sometimes working hard can hurt you in the beginning of your career, because you think you have something so dialed in, you're not able to make adjustments on the fly as well. So there's a lot of the things that you have to figure out in your own way of doing it. Like there's not a way of just being like this, like what works for Jordan Lee might not work for Jacob Wheeler, and what works for Atafo doesn't work for me. So it's figuring out how you process information. Like it has to be a mentality thing and how your system works. You can't take someone else's system and apply that to your the way you do things, because we all think completely differently. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like there's not a certain thing like, oh, a technique. A technique is not going to win you, um, a ton of tournaments. It might win you one or two tournaments if you're really good at it, but techniques come and go. What'll win you tournaments is work ethic and mentality, and how do you sort of go about your every day of or every tournament, and how do you sort of prepare, and what do you do differently? That's the difference maker.
we've seen Hanselmania sweep across at the time FLW, but I'm asking this question. I asked this question because Brandon Polinick before us said his goal is to win every single tournament, and he expects to win every single Elite Series tournament when he launches his boat. And he looked at that as realistic and not cocky. Now I'm looking at your stats, and the Bass Pro Tour has gone, you know where I'm going with this, has gone from 80 to 65 down to 50 next year. You look at the last four tournaments that you had here. Ray Hanselman, I talked about it with Jody White all the time, is the only guy in history on a Toyota division to win all three of that division and the championship. I'm not asking you, I know what you're going to say here. I just want to know, do you think it is possible? Is there a chance to clean sweep an MLF Bass Pro Tour season?
Is definitely possible, but probability is very, very, I mean, it's possible, but
It's 7 events, right?
gosh, it would just have to be, because this is the problem. Okay, like guys look at like 50 and 80 and all this stuff, but the grand scheme of it all, that there's 30 guys in each field on the elites and the BPT that compete for trophies day in and day out, and probably 20 of those, to be honest with you. If you the rest is just sort of, they might jockey for check positions, but that's just where it's at. Like the guys who have that mentality, if you look at who wins on both sides, you can have someone win and be an outlier, but 8 out of 10 wins are going to be amongst the 20 group that I can show you right now on each side.
But
So
you could have won Conroe. Yes or no questions. Could have won Conroe. Easily could have won Conroe.
when?
This year, when you finished 5th.
No, so what I did in that scenario was I could have finished higher in that tournament, but there was an angler that was competing to win. They were going back and forth, and there was three groups of fish, and we've been rotating on those groups of fish throughout the tournament. I knew he was trying to rotate at Kobe Miller. And so I basically just gave Kobe all of those fish in the last period. So to
Okay.
give him a chance to win. So like I could have
Oh
finished
yes,
higher, but I
yes, you
couldn't
could
have
have won
won.
Conroe.
I could if I would have had a great first period, if I would have had an insane period, I could have won
Yeah.
Conroe. Yes.
Harris chain, probably not. Like you never really got it going on the final day there, right?
No, the Harris chain I could have easily won.
Oh,
That
okay.
one.
Okay.
That was the one that I'm more mad about than anything. So literally I win. This is like really okay. So I win the round on literally a stretch of a 50-yard stretch of reeds, right? Wind's blowing out of the south. I have a day off. The wind's blowing out of the south. I've not been on the water fishing hard at all. So I lose track of like the vibe. There's more fish replenishing in these areas. I'm fishing more of the other end of the lake where there's more wind and it's more susceptible to wind. And historically in Florida, the wind blows into an area and it trashes, especially at 20 miles an hour. Okay. So fast forward, what do? Is I try to prepare for the to be on the opposite side, the wind protected side, be on the south side, and understand where I'm going to fish because I'm thinking that's going to get trashed. My area that's gonna, in the wind's going to get trashed. So by I run down south, so does everybody else, because we're all thinking the same thing, right? By the middle of the second to late in the second period, I shut down. I'm like, I got to go back to the north end and just check it because at the end of the day, that's where the biggest concentrations of fish is, even though it's getting blown in. I shut down, and Bobby is literally fishing, wins the tournament on the exact 50-yard stretch that I won the round on. Literally a decision making. If I start the tournament there and that championship day, it changes
Mhm.
the whole outcome of that event.
The
But I
Florida
made the
move.
wrong decision. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Florida
made the
move on
whole.
Bobby. He had seen that happen and probably something went, oh,
No,
there's
Bobby didn't start there either.
oh, okay.
Bobby did not start there either. Bobby started down south, where I basically very close to me because he
Hmm.
thought the exact same thing. The
Okay.
thing was Bobby made the decision like, dude, I ain't gonna win it down south. Let me go recheck that zone, and it was blowing mock. I mean, like I've never seen it in my life where those fish would bite in 3-footers blowing in when there was nothing protected out in front of it, and you could still catch them. I've never seen it, and it just came down to the fact that he made the decision quicker and caught them. Now, Bobby, I'm not saying I would have won, but if you
Yeah.
start there, it
Got a
changes
good
the
chance.
outcome.
Yeah. Then you
It
had back to
does.
back seconds. Then you won on Kentucky. So obviously there's the next three. So there's four out of the five. And if you were super aggressive, that's 5 out of the first 5 that you legitimately could have won. And then, I mean, I'm also talking from a guy like I remember Swindle saying, hey, I get a chance to win maybe once every 2 years, clear out, give that guy because wins are so rare. Spot. You see what I'm saying? Like how crazy
Mhm.
this is to even talk about it. Anything on the Potomac in that 34th place that, I mean, were you just close to it, or
So,
was
so
that one that was just,
It's another crazy one. So listen to this. Day one of the tournament, I start on this grass flat that I start on this grass flat. Now I wouldn't have won the tournament because we would have split them up and it would have just went down. But I'm just to show you how things work. I start on this grass flat that I thought was pretty sneaky. I catch them pretty decent. There was nobody really around. I didn't get a mill around on it.
Mhm.
I sort of try to figure out if there's other zones of this grass flat that were really good. Anyway, day two, I go, the wind's blowing. I know that grass flat's destroyed. The rain's hitting, big rain. I run into a creek and I shut down. And basically, there's already 2 boats in the back of this creek. It shuts down behind me. It's the exact same creek. I turn around, but this exact same creek won the tournament. I go to start there because that was the best creek to fish on a high tide by far. And we had a high tide and I knew it was protected. It's decision making. It's all. I'm not saying I would have won that. I'm just saying that it's
Timing was
still
a little different.
the timing was off. My timing was off. If I change my timing and I don't try to push this, I start here. It's just all it's craziness. You have a combination. The cool thing about every fish counts is this. You have a little bit more like St. Clair, like last week, Trey McKinney wins in Anchor Bay. The tournament was going to be won in Anchor Bay more than likely. It's part of the game because the quality was there. there are way more combinations in every fish counts format to win a tournament and will yourself to win an event. There's 100 different variations of how to win the event that given week. In five, it might be seven zones, and you have to focus your time in these particular zones. And if you don't find those, if you don't do that, or you're not lucky enough or fortunate enough to find the quality of fish to win, that's different. Where in every fish counts, you can formulate a game plan in a zone. It might be twice as many zones that you have a chance to win in, but there is a chance. There's some way of a combination to win the event by utilizing those particular zones.
What motivates you now? You have the wins, you have the Angler of the Years. I mean, you made over a half a million just in tournaments, and that doesn't include, the Rapala hat you've got on, the Magellan shirt that you're wearing. You've got one of the top soft plastic lines with the Crush City and Rapala there. Motivation wise, what motivates you to keep going and not coast?
That's a hard question because I feel like I feel like winning tournaments for yourself is like an empty, like in titles is like it's an empty reward. Not saying it's not valuable, but it in the grand scheme of what I saw Scotty Scheffler's interview about winning tournaments and winning titles and being at the top of his game and these things, and I really took a lot of that. Like, man, I felt that really through and through, and basically like titles and wins and all of these things don't define you in the grand scheme of it all. I think that to me, like I want to show it's become more important for me to do it for my family than maybe for myself. And I see value in that. But I also don't see enough value to where it's like I don't work as hard as I once did on the water, because I want to spend that time with them. I want to go jump in the pool and throw, and have and play dang Marco Polo with Hudson and Olivia. I want to go take the time to put the effort in, and be a good dad. We went camping last night in the backyard, 2 nights ago in the backyard, just like to sleep out under the stars. You got to take some time away from that, and that helps you just sort of. I think it's helped me become sharper in the moments that I'm focusing on the event. I think that has helped me because the tournament is not everything. It's part of my life. It's something that I want to perform at the highest level. Now, when I get in the tournament, I want to win every single one. I want to catch every single bass. But when you strip everything out, like I'm just their dad. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? To me, and my wife, she motivates me as well because I ask her all the time. I'm like, all right, like because she knows what goes into trying to make Angler of the Year runs and tournament wins, and she knows the work that goes into it to make it all make sense and to work. And so I always try to bring that up as well. So like my family's a big part of that, man. And I think 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I wouldn't have said that. I would have. It changes, you change and you
Mm-hmm.
mature as a human, mature and I think it takes time, of what motivates you. But I mean, there's certain scenarios that will continue to motivate me. I take little jabs that I take personally that I try to utilize to motivate me in particular tournaments. But um, but day in and day out, when you strip it all out, it's really my family.
Do you have a rival on the BPT, would you say? Like I would say, it was I'd say Kevin and Skeet, or Kevin and Ike, or Thrift and Morgan. Like there's always been like, would you say you've got a rival on the BPT that you're jockeying for, where you're like, well, if you don't win, you're like, well, at least I beat so and so, or like you guys are going at it? Because I know that like every, you mentioned golf, you had Tiger and Phil for the longest time. And
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely times that I want like it just depends. I mean, there's a couple, there of course there's a couple people that you try to always outperform, um and do as much as you can to be ahead, like there's people that'll push you to be better.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say there was necessarily a rivalry. I think there's times in my life throughout, and there's seasons that you're like, this guy cuts you off, or that guy said this, or this, that, where you're like, I'm not letting that guy win. Like I'm gonna be I make sure I do everything in my power to beat this guy, right? And there's little games that you play in your head to motivate you, whether that's even factual or not. A lot of times, I mean, when you
Hmm.
look at like the Jordan documentary, him making up these things in his mind to motivate himself on the court, it's a little bit of that. Like you don't you do it if it helps you. If that like those little games and those little motivations help you drive to become better and focus your energy at something at another level, then it's valuable. So to me, like when I get irritated or I get into like something, I feel like I fish better. Like when I have something happen, I channel all that energy. Like, and if I say it's a rivalry or it's something that happens in the water, like I focus my energy that much more.
There you go. Routine checkup, or are we dealing with some major dental issues here in
No, it's
44?
just a
Okay, just
cleaning.
just the
It's just
cleaning.
it's
All
just
right.
a cleaning. No cavities,
I
no
didn't know if you're
cavities.
like one of the teeth grinder guys. Like I grind my teeth at night. I have bad issues with that.
That's no. I'm not that bad. I just a cleaning, thankfully. I'm like, hey,
Uh,
no, I
uh,
just yeah.
Or you stay off the water then until the team series picks up, or are you a guy that likes to get on the water 3, 4, 5 times a week? You got sponsor stuff coming up, or is it actually just kind of the one kind of little soft spot of the year where you get to chill before stuff picks up again in the fall, and then you start winding it up again for 2026?
No, I don't have a time to breathe the next little bit. I feel like that. I fly out to go to Academy next week for PD meetings to talk with Magellan and Academy. I fly back in, I'm home for 3 days, and then I fly to South Africa for that USA team stuff. So the team USA
Oh
team,
yeah, that'll be
yeah,
awesome.
World Championship. So that'll be amazing. Welch and I are fishing together as a team.
Oh
Ott
jeez.
Defoe and Drew Gill are fishing together as a team. I think Logan Parks and Scott Martin are fishing together as a team, so it'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited about that at Robbie Dam. They're in South Africa. A lot like last year, we got our butt kicked. I'm not gonna lie, like, it was something that we have to take. Those guys come fishing is, I mean, they're great anglers. Tommy Wood will be fishing there for Australia. There's a lot of great anglers from Australia, from Italy, from Spain, South Africa. Some great anglers. So that won't be easy. Then I fly back home. I have like 4 days, and I'm at the team series with MDJ. And then right after that, like it goes to I have an icon tournament that I have to beat. If you beat me in the championship, you get
I
ten
saw
thousand
that.
dollars extra. So I gotta go. I told him like, look, I'll go practice one day. I'm gonna basically. I'm like, it'll be fun. So that'll happen, and then you have the Ultimate Angler. So it's like, and then you have another team series. So
How's
really,
that
the next
going? Are
month.
they filling that up? The ultimate, that's that Gunnersville no scope deal, right?
Yeah, I don't really know. And that's why I go back and forth on putting a ton of effort into it. I mean, it's a lot of money, I get it, but it's like I don't know how it all is gonna play out. I mean, I hope it's gonna be great, but I hope it's gonna be great. I think there's a lot of great anglers who are gonna be competing in it. It's a lot of money, of course.
Yeah.
But I think the tough part about that one is it's right on top of a big bass splash or something like that. So there's like 400 boats that are going to be on the water for the first 2 days of competition. Um, Heck yeah. It's Timothy. Yeah, what's up? What's up? Yeah, he was in the back of that backwater with me. That's craziness.
Yeah,
I
I need to do a show on that, and also that massive team tournament series that they just announced. $5,000. You have to have all your money in. They do like it starts down in Florida. There's like 6 events. It's like 100K to win it.
I saw that. I saw
Yeah.
that. Where are they going in that deal? I didn't really get a chance to look at it in
That
depth.
starts like back-to-back weeks in Florida, and then they came out with the schedule.
I'll have to look at it.
Yeah. Anyway, I need to do shows on both of those events because you mentioned that ultimate angler thing. So yeah,
Yeah,
the grind never stops, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden you're gonna have to have your boat rigged out and done, and I would imagine you do probably 2 every year too. So you've got a ton of stuff that's going on, and then boom, you're right back into it.
Yeah, I actually have a couple other things that I'm working on right now in the back burner that I have other things I'm looking at doing. So there's a lot of stuff that I actually have that I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do here? What am I gonna do there? But you'll see a little bit more of that next year. So I do get a little time. November, December is our time to relax a little bit more. I'll take the family on a cruise in the middle of December. I'll spend a little time. November, December's family time for the
Yeah.
most part. Like
Yeah.
it's I'm able to sort of step away. Of course, I'll do a little bit of pre-practicing in that time frame, especially like maybe Gunnersville. I might go down there a little bit, just 2 hours from the house. But overall, that's yeah. I mean, you better get back after it. Like our tournament, our first tournament of the year starts in the middle of January this year, so it's not like there's a lot of room.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go, and then
I appreciate it, man.
we're gonna reboot it and kick BTL off again at 8:30. I got Eric Luzak on. He's done something you've probably never done, which is weigh in a five bass smallmouth limit for 31 and a half. That's what I said.
That.
Like I would never like typically third place Toyota series. You know, you get an attaboy on the show, but I messaged him. I was like, dude, I would love to hear this stuff. Supposedly only had like 5 bites that day or something like that.
I want to hear that story.
Yeah, and he's such a good dude too. I mean, I wouldn't say we're like good friends, but I've known him for a number of different years and stuff. So.
Dang,
I'm looking forward to it. That's who I have on the guest now, who I want to have on it. I was like, I want to hear how that goes down. Like when you put that 5th one in the box and you're literally probably have more smallmouth bass than water. 31 and a half, dude.
Oh my gosh. What was his big one?
They were all like 6-pounders.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. You have to tell him I said congrats. That's amazing. I appreciate you, bro.
What you've done is amazing too. Congrats on another Angler of the Year title, and looking forward to see how many of these things you can rattle off in a row. What's the record? I mean, Roland Martin's got 9 of them. KVD's got 7.
I don't know. This is the tough part about it. The more you get in the Angler of the Year races, the worse chance, the tougher it is to win.
Because you start fishing to win the Angler of the Year race and not the tournament.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're actually better to not try to fish angler for the Angler of the Year and have a bomb early in the season, because then you'd have a better chance to win more tournaments.
Oh, Mark Edwards said he had 2 7-pounders in the box. 7.14 was his big one.
That's amazing. I'm tuning in to watch that one. I can turn this truck back on. I'm about to dang.
All right. See you, Jacob.
All right. See y'all
later. All right. That is the one and only Jacob Wheeler. There's the AOY special. Got into a bunch of stuff to talk about there. Like I said, greatly appreciate him taking the time to do that with a crazy busy schedule. So we're gonna shut things down here. Take about a 45-minute break. Come back 8:30 a.m. Central Time, Monday, August 18th, to kick another full week of BTL shows off. We got a ton of stuff going down. I'm also recording a bunch of Best on Tour this week's with Dave Rush. We're going to break down who's in, who's out, schedules, Angler of the Year races. We have Bassmaster Open EQs that are dialed in. We've got invitationals that are going to the BPTs. You got BPTs, the guys who are getting cut from that. You've got schedules. You got all sorts of stuff going on in the professional bass fishing industry now. So, we will talk to everyone later. This has been another edition of BTL. We'll talk to everyone. See ya.